Hello and welcome back. We are going to be reading another chapter today, and this one is called the 15th of August. And you can see from that picture, and you might remember that the 15th of August is when Praiseworthy is supposed to fight the mountain ox. And you might also remember that, in fact, I'm just going to reread it, how the last chapter ended, which was they were digging a hole for whenever they're going to bury Cut-Eye Higgins. And it says they couldn't dig any further because they hit bedrock. That means they hit heavy rock, and they struck gold. Jack very nearly jumped a foot. "By the great horn spoon!" he yelled. "Look! I see it! Pay dirt!" And Praiseworthy exclaimed, "Yeller as can be!" The gold revealed itself like little bits of sunlight trapped in the loosened earth. The two partners flung their hats in the air. In sheer exuberance, they clasped arms and swung around and around the pit. "We've done it, Jack! We've done it!" Praiseworthy roared. "We've struck it rich!" It was a moment before Jack, in his excitement, realized that Praiseworthy had called him Jack. Not Master Jack, just Jack. Plain Jack, the way he'd always wanted to be. He thought he would never stop leaping for joy, but then he fished out a golden lump and beat it with a stone. "Flat as a button!" "Cut some stakes, Jack, quick!" Anything would do. Praiseworthy drew his tattered umbrella from their pack and pounded it into the ground. It made a fine corner post for their claim. Jack stripped a fallen pine limb with their clasp knife. Praiseworthy measured out 50 feet by strides, which would give them plenty of elbow room. Soon they had the boundary staked, and Jack ran from corner to corner, hanging tin cans in place. They had their claim, legal as could be. And Praiseworthy laughed. "Cut-Eye Higgins has done us a good turn, in spite of himself." After the first day's washings, Praiseworthy went to Coloma to buy a long tom, and Jack stayed behind with the squirrel gun to keep an eye on things. Within 24 hours, miners had staked claims everywhere around them. The place quickly got the name of Btghs Hill. Praiseworthy and Jack worked from morning till night. They carried pay dirt bucket by bucket down the slope to the sluice box in the river. The hole grew wider and longer. They filled a buckskin pouch and tied it off at the top. Hour after hour, Praiseworthy swung the pick, and day after day, Jack emptied bucket after bucket into the long tom. Their fortune grew heavier. "Won't Aunt Arabella be surprised when we walk in?" Jack grinned. Praiseworthy was smoking one of the long 9 cigars. "Why, we'll be able to use sacks of gold for doorsteps." Praiseworthy gazed into the coffee fire, and his fingers touched Miss Arabella's small portrait buttoned in the pocket of his shirt. She was so far away, a continent away. He wondered what she was doing at that very moment. Staring into the fireplace and thinking of him, perhaps? But that was nonsense, he told himself. He must not forget his place. Once back in Boston, he would take up his old duties again. He reminded himself firmly, born and bred a butler. Like his father before him, Miss Arabella would be lost without him. Why, Boston would never accept him as anything but what he was, a butler. Still, Boston was a long way off, and there was the sound of the river below to enjoy and the cigar between his teeth to savor. One morning, a miner came rushing up the hill from Shirttail Camp. "Doc Higgins has escaped!" "What's that?" said Praiseworthy, dropping his pick. "Yup, during the night. He used them forceps of his on the jailhouse we built. Pulled the nails through like he was yanking teeth and got a board loose. Slipped right out. He's long gone by now, and good riddance." Praiseworthy wiped the sweat that had rolled down into his whiskers. Maybe he learned a lesson, but I doubt it. He's just running from one noose to another. There are plenty of hanging trees in the diggings, and he'll be standing under one sooner or later with his feet off the ground. After almost 2 weeks of busting ground and shoveling dirt, their claim began to play itself out. The washings grew thinner and thinner. One by one, the other miners gave up on Btghs Hill. It had boomed, and now it was dying. The boomers pulled their stakes to follow rumors of some other gold strike. On the morning of the 15th of August, the day Praiseworthy was to face the Mountain Ox in a bare-fisted combat fight, the two partners struck their tent. Praiseworthy seemed in no hurry to keep his appointment in Hangtown. Jack wondered if Praiseworthy had changed his mind. "Not on your life, Jack. We'll make it." Jack blindfolded Stub, and they loaded up. They had 11 heavy pouches of gold dust, worth a fortune in San Francisco. "Providing we get it there. We might meet up with road agents again." "Exactly. The squirrel gun of ours barely scares off squirrels. Jack, I think the time has come for shooting irons." Jack's heart took a leap. "A 4-shooter? I think a 4-shooter would be an excellent choice." They stood for a last moment, gazing at their claim. The umbrella still rose from a corner with a tin can on top. Praiseworthy left it there. Wow, Praiseworthy has really changed. Btghs Hill had been good to them, and they walked away as if they were abandoning an old friend. Almost at once, several Chinese miners with pigtails dangling from their flat straw hats moved in to work over the diggings. "Good luck, boys," Praiseworthy called. At Coloma, they traded in their pick and shovel, tent, and gold pans. They wouldn't be needing them anymore. They left Coloma on the stage, each with a revolver tucked in his belt. Jack rubbed his hand along the butt of the 4-shooter. He felt invincible. He turned for a last look at Stub. They had sold him to the justice of the peace, and at that moment, the official was sitting in the dust, his legs spread out before him. The burro stood looking very pleased with himself. "I forgot to tell him Stub thinks he's a mule," said Jack. Praiseworthy smiled. "I'd say the justice of the peace has just found that out for himself." And we're going to stop right there because this is a really long chapter, and that's about halfway through. And we will read the other half next week. And let's see, the next chapter. The next chapter is the last chapter. Amazing. All right, see you next time.